everybody's good. Just to start here, just an update for Tank. As we all know, it's unfortunate, significant knee injury. He dislocated the knee, he tore his ACL, some other things there that he'll have to get repaired. So he'll be out for the year. Also with Jimmy Ward, midfoot sprain. He'll require surgery. He'll be out, for the remainder of the year as well. And Shaq, knee injury, he'll be week to week. It's just tough news. Those are, especially with Tank and Jimmy, two great guys, great players. But they will miss them dearly. They meant a lot to our team. We know we have a lot to pick up losing those two guys, but those guys will attack the rehab the right way, and they'll be back in due time. So our thoughts and prayers are still with them as they attack the rehab and knowing everything that's to come. But they'll make a recovery.
Short week and things like that. I know it's next game, and I understand all that. But how do you just move on so quickly? Can you?
Yeah, for me, it's you have to, right? It's easy to sit in, and it still hurts. It'll always be there with us. I don't think the emotional piece will leave us because those guys are important pieces to our team and just really great people as well for our team, for our locker room, meant a lot to us. So losing them is hard. It's hard to move on, but what's in front of us, we're here. We got the Ravens coming into our house. We have to move on. And so easier said than done. Of course, with such, tough news to hear, it's easier said than done, but we have to, and that's what we'll do, right? You have to have other guys step up, and we have to move forward. And then our next opponent really, they don't care. So we got to move forward. We got to go play really good football versus a really good team coming into our house.
Do you know when Tank will have surgery?
No, it'll be soon.
Coach, you lost Jalen, now you lose Jimmy. Is there any possibility that it may be Kamari will play some inside like he did on Saturday?
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see how we move guys around in the back end. It's still a lot of moving pieces on a short week, so we'll see, what we're able to do.
At what point, how do you have to bring the leadership of the team in short week and even trying to get over the hump with these final pieces? That's out of the equation right now. How does the leadership of the team and y'all pull it together? Because, like you said, the clock's running and nobody's sitting there feeling sorry for you now.
Yeah, our guys understand that, and that's what my message to our guys is it's about just having laser focus. There's a lot of things, as I mentioned yesterday, there are a lot of things that can, pull our attention in many different directions. Physically, emotionally, everything that's going on right now, short week, Christmas, there are a lot of things that can pull our energy. But right now, we have to be laser focused on Baltimore, and that's what it is. There isn't any other thing that should be more important than Baltimore. And that's where our focus is. That's where all of our energy is, focused on Baltimore. And it's a lot to focus on because they're such a talented team. They're playing really good football. I think Lamar is playing some of the best football he's played. He's definitely jumps off the tape as the best player I've seen this year. You talk about MVP. He's definitely the MVP in my mind, just for what he's doing, not only run game wise, but throwing the football, the accuracy, the decision making. He's playing unbelievable ball right now. So it's going to be a really tough challenge for us this week.
You kind of talked about whenever it comes to looking on the outside for building up rosters and names that you might be willing to add in. Is it hard to do so on a short week when you really have to just look at the internal makeup of the roster to be able to fill the gaps that are needed right now?
Yeah, of course. It's hard to add anyone when we play in 2 days. It's unrealistic that somebody's coming in and playing for us on Wednesday. So we rolling with what we have, and what we have is good. Or like all of our guys, like how our guys work, and they understand what we're asking of them, and we're going to go out and compete.
DeMeco, can you talk about, after looking at the tape, getting ready for Baltimore, some things that you saw in that game that are things you think you guys can build on in these couple of days as you get ready to face Baltimore?
Yeah, for us, looking back from Kansas City, the thing that I look at our team and where we can build on is we had our opportunities, right? But in those critical moments, situational football, when it came to third down and red zone, we have to improve in those areas. When we've won games, we've been good in those areas, and when we've lost, we haven't been great in those areas. So that's the key for us. Like, how well do we play in those situations? If we play well, then we'll have a good chance versus this team because they're really good in those situations. Again, like the good teams, they play great situational football. KC does, and Baltimore does as well. They're really good in the red area, and they're really good on third down as well, and those will be the key plays of the game.
Ball security and also takeaways. How much do you feel like turnovers be important in this game and maybe the pivotal point of the game?
Yeah, for us, the ball is always important every week. No matter our opponent, the ball is always our major focus. We have to protect it. We have to take it away. That won't change.
The Ravens' defense, and felt like earlier in the year maybe teams were passing on them with a little bit more success. I mean, more difficult the past few weeks. What have you kind of seen from them and the adjustments they've made?
Defensively, I think they've done a really good job of eliminating the explosives. You can see they're playing more shell defense, more cover two mentality. They will also mix in the man coverage, but I think they're playing more sound. Everybody is where they're supposed to be in coverage. Guys are playing well together, probably simplify things a little bit and allowing their guys to play faster and play together. So that's what I see. And they're a tough unit to run against, starting with their defensive line, big, stout defensive line. Guys do a really great job of filling their gaps, knowing where they're supposed to be on the second level. So they make it tough to run against them. And then in a passing game, they can play sticky man coverage. They'll mix up the looks with the tricky cover twos. And so they're doing a really good job of mixing it up and eliminating and keeping the ball in front of them, eliminating the explosives.
As another former linebacker turned coach, how have you seen Zach Orr turn into a sound defense coordinator replacing Mike McDonald this past year?
Yeah, I think Zach is doing a really, outstanding job with his defense. People said things weren't going great. He did a great job of adjusting, and that's what good coaches do. He's done a great job of adjusting, fitting the scheme to what his players do best right now. And so that's the makings of a good coach. Really admire what he's done as a young man, former player, right, how he's turned his coaching career. He's done a really good job. He's turned into you talk about guys in Baltimore that have come through that coaching ranks under Coach Harbaugh. There are a lot of great defensive coordinators who moved on and become head coaches in other places, and I think Zach is on that same track.
Coach, last season you were in this similar situation. The last time you faced the Baltimore Ravens, actually with DeMeco being the only healthy starting wide receiver that you had. What have you seen from Xavier Hutchinson and John Mechie if he's able to play in this second time around, stepping up this season to fill in that role for Tank and Stephon?
This time around, I think Hutch has done a really good job of making some key catches for us in the past few games, and he continues to get better each and every week that he goes out there. So encouraged by Hutch and what he's doing. Match, hopefully we'll have him this week, and he can help us as well. It's going to take everyone, as always. It's going to take everyone. I was just making smart decisions with the football, going to wherever the play calls for, going to who's open in those situations. So it'll be a collective effort. We know it'll take everyone, and our guys understand that somebody has to step up. Right, opposite Nico, somebody has to step up and make plays for us, and that'll be the key of the game. Like, who is that person that's going to step up? And if that person does it the right way, that's who we'll be talking about post game.
From a loose standpoint, in terms of having a controlled, disciplined rush, not just run up the field and creating lanes. Sometimes when you have a quarterback like Lamar Jackson, what are some of the things that you stress to guys about rushing against a quarterback like him?
The main thing when you're playing against Lamar is everyone has to be disciplined, right? Everyone understand and have elite awareness to what he's capable of, and I think everybody knows that by now. He can run it, whatever he wants to do. He can buy time and throw the ball downfield, throw the deep passes. So everybody, it's a matter of just working together as a defense. Not only D-line, but linebackers, secondary. Like, it's everybody just working together, being disciplined in our coverages, being disciplined in our rushes, everybody just being dialed in.
With the type of injury he has, is the expectation that at some point next season he can play football again?
Well, right now the focus is just on Tank, just, going through this process, getting the surgery, getting recovered, and we'll deal with that when it comes, but I don't think it's the time right now to discuss what's going to happen next year with Tank. Just allow him to get this time to heal up and recover.
You mentioned Lamar Jackson. Jackson and the challenges that he poses. Talk about what they, Derrick Henry in the run game, that other dimension that obviously.
Oh yeah, that part. can't forget about Derrick. Derrick is, man, wow. You talk about fast, explosive, physical. Like he's looking probably the best he's looked in his career. So he's found that fountain of youth. Running behind a really good offensive line, and just schematically, they're doing a great job of using him to his strengths. And he's running the football very well. Always a tough guy to tackle. Always going to take more than one guy. Got to be aware of that stiff arm when he's out on the edge as well. He's a great player, man. It's fun to see guys rebound and bounce back the way he's done this year. He's playing really good football. I think they're the top rushing team in the league because of him and what Lamar is capable of doing as well. So to have that dual threat is really a problem for everybody. So you don't get a break whether Lamar is touching it or Derrick is touching it. You have to be on your A game for the entire game.
When you look at Kendrick Green, how do you think he performed? And then with Juice potentially coming back, is there a bit of a switch up from playing left guard to right guard where if you were to fill in for Shaq in that standpoint, would he be able to make it work?
I thought Kendrick did a great job of battling. He was physical. He played explosive. He did a really good job of just being competitive up front, and that's what it takes. Like for us to have firm pockets on the offensive line, especially in the interior, you just got to compete, and that's what Kendrick did, and that's what I like what he did, and we'll see, how we can continue to improve there.
Thank you, Coach.
All right, thanks, guys.
questions.
Unfortunately, the tough news that people expected, that it, beyond the dislocated knee, unfortunately he's also torn his ACL. How do you, as a team, kind of deal with the emotions of this and just being there for Tank this time?
Yeah, it's not easy, to see your brother go down like that after just, dealing with a season injury last year. So, got to just be there for him. And, yeah, it's not easy, man. I think everybody kind of seen how hard I took it, but I think that was good, for, I don't know. It's not a lot to say. But this isn't the end for him. This is just another bump in the road. And, there's been plenty of players who have had season injuries back-to-back. Like I was talking to my agent this morning, and he was talking about how Derwin James went through the same thing, and J.C. Horn as well. And, they're playing good ball now. So that's hope, and there's always light at the end of the tunnel. And I think, just for people to give Tank a little space right now and just pray for him from afar, let him go through this, because the worst thing that you want to hear is that everything's going to be okay and all these type of things. He doesn't want to hear that. So it's good to say it, and I think he needs to hear the truth, but let him spend his time with his family and try to just give him a little bit of room just to breathe and take in what's really going on and mentally just get sane. So it's not easy, but I'm gonna be here for him, and that's my brother. Through thick and thin, through life, I'm gonna be here for him. So yeah.
Have you gotten to talk to him and kind of tell him that you're here for whatever he needs?
He knows that, yeah. But I'll talk to him, yeah.
Anything else, guys?
I mean, with that aside, there's a game Wednesday. DeMeco talking about the Ravens don't care what's going on in this building. How do you guys just move on and continue the season? Because you also have the playoffs ahead of you too.
Yeah, it's life. Gotta keep chopping wood, carrying water. And the position we're in, it's not a lot of times where you can soak in your feelings for very long. You got to just keep rolling. I think that's a testament to just life in general. Everybody has stuff on their plate. Everybody's going through something, and it's just because we're in this position doesn't mean you get to feel sorry for yourself or anything like that. No, you got to keep rolling. And, I think us playing, will help. Winning helps. And of course it doesn't fill the whole void of the hurt, but it also, it can make you feel better in the moment. But, I think the main thing for us is just, to put our best foot forward and, try to, take these next weeks as serious as we can and focus on one thing at a time. And I think that's the best recipe for, what the rest of the season could be.
Last time you all faced the Baltimore Ravens, you were in a similar situation. You only had DeMeco as the starting wide receiver, and this year you're going in, you don't no Tank, no Stephon Diggs. How much have you seen from Xavier Hutchinson and John Mechie, if he's able to play, them being able to step up and fill the void and fill that role, more than they did in the last game you all played against the Ravens?
Yeah, I think y'all seen it. Y'all seen it time and time again of Mets showing up, Hutch showing up, Jay Wayne, going in there blocking and doing his thing. And I think those guys, have another opportunity to show who they are. And, I know that they can do it. I see them in practice do it every week. So I'm excited for them, and it's a good opportunity for them to step up.
How are you just handling, obviously you and Tank are extremely close. How are you just handling that entire situation?
Yeah, best of my life, try to just be where my feet are at. Since I'm here in the facility, I got to be here, and I want to be here, and game plan for the Ravens and do what we need to do to, put our best foot forward to win this game. And also, when I get out of here, be where my feet are is there, So that's just life. Everybody, like I said before, is going through something. But yeah, I'm doing just fine. I'm the last person people should be worrying about. It's my brother, that I'm more so that's on my mind. So that I just feel this way for him because I know how many people are dependent on him, and and what he's done to put himself in this position to, come back from injury and, the things he's gone through. So, it's not easy, but, this is a time where we got to come together as community. And, at the end of the day, it's not just about football. It's not just about, the Texans. It's not just about winning a game. It's about a person, who's going through a lot. And, we got to be there for him and hold him up. So, and he's strong enough to, hold himself up in certain ways. But there's other things just like I hope y'all have people to lean on when you're going through it. And that's something that I have in my life. So, this is a time for that. And, just being on my feet I think is the best thing for me right now.
When it comes to the Ravens,
it's not often that you see such a display of emotion on a football field that you showed. Do you think it's important for people to see that and kind of feel that, to kind of be reminded, y'all are people too, this is a game, but y'all are real people, and just kind of this matters, and I guess y'all are really close, and this is something that really affects you. It's not just a game. Do you think that's important?
Yeah, I do. My barber actually mentioned it to me and was like, he thought it was, because I wouldn't say I was like second guessing it, but it was just not easy for me to sit there and be emotional, but it's something that like we all go through in life, and it's easy to be a fake tough guy. It's easy to go through life acting like everything doesn't affect you, but deep down we all know we're going through something. And for me, I think it's good for like young men and women out there, kids who are brought up and taught, and I was taught this too as a kid, not from my parents, but just from the world, of like, don't let anybody see you emotional, don't let anybody see you down. And there's some truth to that in certain aspects, but there's also life. And I think it was good to see people see me in that light, and knowing that like there is still, a human factor to me, and I am a normal person. I make plenty of mistakes. I made plenty of mistakes in my life that it just is what it is. And to see something that he had really no control over, and it's not easy. So that's where that comes from. And I think it's just, what God is doing in my life. He's softening my heart in so many ways, because I wouldn't have done that probably last year. But, just the new creation that I am in Christ, I'm constantly growing and just knowing who he is, and, and reading his word. And me and Tank do a Bible study every week, at least twice a week. And, I hope that we can continue to keep going with that. But, there's so much hope that we have and had, and that stuff doesn't go anywhere just because tragedy strikes. So I believe, that we'll get past this. There is light at the end of the tunnel, but it might be it might be a long way to get there. But I think that was good for people to see, that we're just normal people at the end of the day.
And just as a quick follow-up to that, it seemed like Joe Mixon was really there for you in that moment, talking to you, kind of trying to help you kind of, get back on track, because you had to finish the game. You've talked about how important he's been to you as a veteran. Is that just another example of how important he is to you in this team?
Yeah, for sure. Same thing for Joe. Like if he was going through something similar, I'd be right there to pick him up. So he's right there for me, and I think really for me, it hit me so hard because I'm so close to Tank that I spent a lot of my time with him, and that's literally like I consider him my like actual brother, So maybe it didn't resonate for people that way, but I think Metch, same thing. He wasn't at the game. I think hit him the same way. So when you're really close to somebody and see somebody go down like that, and you spend so much time with them, you see how hard they work, you see the light that they are in this world, and to see that be taken away just for a little bit. It's not easy to see, So for Joe to be unselfish right there, and because I know he was going through it too, to uplift his teammates is amazing, and I'm just really happy that I have him on this team.
We're going to take three more: Aaron, Jonathan, and Sarge.
CJ, you're a close-knit locker room, and you'll lean on each other. You look at the other receivers that will step up. What do you expect from those guys as they try to fill the void some of the other gentlemen they'll fill in?
Just being themselves. They have the talents that God put in them for a reason, and this is another opportunity for them to go and show and prove it. So I think they'll do that, and I'm excited to see.
Jared was obviously really distraught after the game. I was wondering if you had a chance to talk to him, or what can you say to somebody like him who probably feels horrible?
Yeah. So with Jay Wayne, that guilt and that shame is something I deal with a lot too, and I think for him, the best thing that he can do is just be around us, and I've been able to pray over him. We went to church yesterday morning, and I think, for him, I try to tell him is not to internalize it. Like, it's football. God didn't cause this. Like, it's some things in life, it's just what the nature of what you're in, which is football. Things like that happen. And just because, something tragic like that happens, doesn't mean you should point the finger at yourself or anyone else. It's part of the game. So, I feel for him. I understand what he's going through, and I think it's good for him to be around just brothers right now, and we've been able to actually build our relationship even before this happened through the Lord, and I think that's how we got to continue to go. So I think just what he's feeling right now isn't easy, and it's not something that I wish on my worst enemy. Excuse me, my worst enemy. But it's something that I believe that had to happen, I guess, and it's not easy to sit up here and say that because I wish it didn't. But we got to be here for him just as much as we're here for Tank, because you can just see it on him, and I think it's important for us to be around him.
We know that losing Tank was very important, but you also lost two other starters during that game in right guard, Shaq Mason and Jimmy Ward.
Yeah.
With such a short weekend preparing for such a good team like the Baltimore Ravens, how did you all, rally around that and get back into what you all need to do, replacing three starters now in such a short time?
Yeah, you got a next man up mentality. Got to with your numbers called, you got to make the play. So we're all prepared for these moments. We do. DeMeco does a great job on, competition periods and and practice during the season for practice squad guys to get an opportunity to play against the starters, and I think that's good for them, and it's an opportunity for them to step up and rise to the occasion. So I think that this is something that happens on everybody's team. Like, injuries happen to everybody, so and it's not easy to say that it's the worst part of our sport, but it's a part of it, and you got to be prepared for it. I think Nick has done a good job of that, and DeMeco done a good job of preparing us that way to to have that next man mentality up, and to be able to execute at a high level when your number's called. All right, you guys.
the emotions, but also you have a football game on Wednesday. How tough is it to try to manufacture some of the things that Tank brought to the offense as you go forward?
Yeah, I mean, you can't, like we've talked about before when we've lost some guys, you can't replace a Tank Dell. You know, you can't replace a Stephon Diggs. You can't replace a Brevin Jordan. You know, each of them brings things that make them special. And I think Tank has a lot of things in football that make him special. And he was showing them on Saturday against the Chiefs, you know. So we don't really ever approach it that way. How do we replace? How do we do the same things with? It's always kind of a individual and week to week basis. You know, what does everyone on our current roster going into this game do well? How do we excel at putting them in those positions so that they can excel and really amplify their strengths?
Bobby, what's led to some of the issues with wide receiver screens for the offense?
Yeah, I'd say really just the last two games we didn't execute them well enough, you know. Really before the last two games, yards per play, we were like one of the best in the leagues in wide receiver screens. And then we were off on our details. This is really what it comes down to. You know, everyone, you need plays that are easy plays. The worst thing that can happen at the end of the day is an incompletion, is what you're going for on those. So you're making sure you're not getting a negative, and you have the potential for you know, a very efficient play, even to a chunk with some of the guys we're getting the ball to on a lot of these. And early in the year we had that, but along with that, like when you're really good at it, defenses know you're going to be really good at it, and they key in on it, and they practice it, and they card it every week, and that just amplifies the detail you have to execute it. And our details the last 2 weeks weren't as good as they were prior to that.
Bobby, I know that it's easier said than done to, you know, say we got to keep moving on after what happened to Tank, but emotionally, how hard was it for you all to get back into the rhythm, into the groove of realizing that you still had a game to play, but watching what had happened to Tank and how horrific that was?
Yeah, I think, you know, once you start going, you don't have any choice with just how hard the NFL is, the pressure you have on any given play. You know, as it continues after that, you know, everyone I think starts to hone in more and more. But I mean, we're all human at the end of the day, right? You know, so a lot of it was more, how do we help each other? How do we help pull each other along? How do we continue to emphasize and reiterate we still got a game that we got to go find a way to win? And we had our chances. You know, we had our opportunities that we didn't make the plays on, but they were there for us. And you know, that's really what we've been focusing on this week also. You know, how do we continue to we have a very, very, very tight group. And it's been one of the more enjoyable things I've been a part of, is how much of a family the Houston Texans are, all the way across the organization, and the players love each other. Like, truly, they love each other. And that this week has really been the focus on, okay, well, how do we take this bond, you know, bring the guys that aren't with us anymore along for the ride as we go through and we play every game and see what we can do.
Based off the film you happen to watch, what stands out about the front seven of Baltimore?
Yeah, they're tough. I mean, they're number one run defense in the NFL, and that shows, and it makes it extremely difficult because obviously the way their team is built and the way their team is structured, their offense is out there balling right now. Their defense has played really well run defense in the last 4 games. Their pass defense is significantly better than it was prior to that. You know, they've really cut down on the explosives they've given up. Which makes it like to beat a team like Baltimore, to beat a team like Detroit, Buffalo, Kansas City, you have to play good team football. And that's our emphasis this week. You have to play good team football, which along with that on offense, our part, like, we got to stay on the field. We got to score when we get in the red zone. And, you know, to stay on the field and sustain drives, you got to be efficient in the run game. So when you're going against a team that's number one in run defense, that's a big challenge for us that, you know, we're doing everything we can to get ready for. And, you know, we'll continue to hammer away at the pass game and make sure that, you know, we create efficient plays and find explosives.
You all made a significant shift when you moved Titus left guard, obviously. How do you view, you know, you all might approach that situation when you scrub does come back?
Yeah, I know Juice is fighting his tail off, and we'll see where he ends up this week. And down the road, honestly, Jonathan is kind of a week-to-week thing. Like I think every week we're just approaching it as what do we got to do this week and what's best for us this week. And, we'll kind of cross that bridge when we get to it.
Just a kind of follow-up of Jonathan, is there a difference when it comes to a younger player like Juice who maybe has just only been playing left guard if you ask to switch over to right guard versus a guy like Titus that has played multiple positions that might make an easier switch?
Yeah, I'd actually say Juice's rookie year in training camp in particular, I mean, he was really swinging at all interior three. So the right side's not foreign to him, the left side's not foreign to him. I think at one point his rookie year in training camp, because of injuries, we had to bump him out to tackle, and he definitely had never done that before. That was brand new. So, I mean, he has bounced around and had some reps at all of them. Titus not having a rep on the left side in, I want to say it was like felt like a year and 4 weeks. Maybe it wasn't quite that, but it was a long time. Like that especially from tackle to guard and how long he had played tackle. I felt like that was a very tough ask that he was willing to do and went out and played really well. That, I was really proud of him for doing that and continuing to do that. So I think Juice will be ready for whatever we ask him to do.
Does the playbook change any when you go through so many injuries, like across the line at the wide receiver position? Even, Joe Mixon was out at some point this year. When you start off in training camp, you're putting it together based off of the strengths of the people that you have designated to start. But does the playbook change any once you have to do all this mixing and matching?
Yeah, Sarge, if I'm being honest, like it kind of changes all the time. You have a vision in camp of what it's going to be, and you build upon that vision, and then you get to week 1, week 2, week 3 of the NFL, and things start to change. Even things you may have been good at the previous year, you're not as good at for a multitude of reasons this particular year, and you start going in different directions. You start trending some different ways, and then as you go through the season, there's ebbs and flows all the way through that, and where you're leaning as you go through each and every game is dependent on how people are playing and what we're doing really well, the defense we're going against, as well as the personnel we have to deploy. So I think it's endless how much you're kind of changing the playbook as a whole. But at the same time, I do think there's always staples. Like every offense, every defense has these are staples that we do that we're really good at, and it doesn't really matter what they do. We're going to have these in. We're going to call these. And, our running back's going to be able to go execute them. Our tackle's going to be able to go execute them. Our quarterback and receivers can do these at a very high level. And those don't change. But there's a lot of things around that you're endlessly manipulating.
It's been a couple weeks since the running game has really, broke for 800. I mean, we became so used to seeing that. What do you feel like has been the issue in recent weeks?
Yeah, I mean, we had man, it feels like forever ago, getting outside the last 2 weeks. But I know we had some games in there where it was tough sledding and we didn't do as good as we wanted to. But if I'm being honest, the last 2 weeks, that I didn't call a lot of runs. Joe's not going to get 100 yards when I'm giving him the ball 12 times. Like, that's hard to do, right? But that was also our outlook as an offense. We knew the previous 2 games we were going into it thinking we had to throw the ball to open up the run game. And we really thought we could. And I thought CJ did a good job. Like, I thought CJ last game played his best game. I really did. I thought the things he put out there against Kansas City, in particular in the first half, like how firm his back foot was on some of these throws, how he was hanging in there in the pocket, how good our protection was, how receivers were running routes. Like, we really felt good about the pass game against Kansas City early on and really the week before also. So that was more of just from a starting point, how we wanted to approach the game. But there's no question. We know we got some room to improve in the run game, and we'll continue to strain to do that. You get to the end of the year, and in playoff football, the run game is going to be a huge part.
Bobby, you kind of mentioned that the explosive plays have gone away for the Ravens secondary. What have you noticed about the difference from the start of the year now?
Yeah, I think actually it just was by happenstance. I happened to catch a Mike Tomlin comment getting ready to play Baltimore before this last week, and he had mentioned how much, just softer and more disciplined their safeties and their corners had started to play, and I think that's noticeable. I think early on in the year there were some mental mistakes that they had that caused some issues, but they were also playing a little more aggressive. They were ready to trigger on things a lot more, and since then they've really backed it up and challenged offenses to sustain drives all the way down the field over and over and over again. And then, their offense gets back on the field and you blink and it feels like 7 points is back on the board and you got to do it again. That just becomes really hard to strain in that way. And I think they've done a good job just playing to their team strengths. Thanks, everybody.